Good morning, dear students. Yesterday we had started the snake and the mirror. And in a very humorous way, the writer or the narrator, the doctor decided he would love to marry with a fat girl because a fat girl would not able to run away after him if he did some mistakes. So just start. Surely nothing to worry about. Meaning he was very much sure that easily he would be able to get the girl of his choice because he was a doctor, he was handsome, and his chances to get a girl of his liking is very bright. Even so, I thought I would turn around and take a look. No sooner had I turned than a fat snake wriggled over the back of the chair and landed on my shoulder. He was busy in all these speculations. Meanwhile, suddenly a snake, a very big venomous snake, fell down from above on his shoulder. Meaning, as the sound he was hearing of, he considered it was of snake. It was of rats, but it was not of rat, but it was of that snake. So it came on his shoulder. The snake's landing on me and my turning were simultaneous. Simultaneous meaning together. The snake came on my shoulder and I turned. Both the things took place quickly altogether. I didn't jump, I didn't tremble, I didn't cry out. Meaning he was so dumb with the arrival of the snake that he couldn't jump, he couldn't tremble, meaning he couldn't shake, he couldn't start crying. There was no time to do any such thing. The snake silted along my shoulder and coiled around my left arm above the elbow. The snake did not give him any chance to do any such things, but he coiled up. He made himself roll, and with his hood is on his top of the head. The hood was spread out and its head was hardly 3 or 4 inches from my face. His hood was so close to his face. Only 3 or 4 inches gap was there between he and the snake. It would not be correct to say merely that I sat there holding my breath. I was turned to stone. Though he sat down, he was not even breathing, but he became like stone. But my mind was very active. The door opened into darkness. The room was surrounded by darkness. In the light of the lamp, I sat there like a stone image in the flesh. His mind was working. Though he was very, afraid, but his mind was in his control. He knew the room was dark, the door was open, and the snake was there, but his mind was able to think. I felt then the great presence of the creator of this world and this universe. God was there. He realized that his mind was able to think because of the presence of God, who has created this entire world. Suppose I said something and he did not like it. I tried in my imagination to write in bright letters outside my little heart the words, "Oh God." He thought if he shout, or if he did anything and the snake did not like it, then only 3 or 4 inches gap is there between his hood and his face, meaning his life was under his hands. So only he spoke in his imagination the name of God, "Oh God." There was some pain in my left arm. It was as if a thick leaden rod, a rod made of molten fire, was slowly but powerfully crushing my arm. The arm was beginning to be drained of all strength. What could I do? He thought his arm is paining, as if a very heavy rod was kept on his hand, as if a very heavy load was on his hand, and he was unable to move, he was unable to bear that because the weight of snake was too much. At my slightest movement, the snake would strike me. Death lurked 4 inches away. He knew if he would move a little, the snake would bite him, and his death was only 4 inches away. Suppose it struck. What was the medicine I had to take? There were no medicine in the room. I was but a poor, foolish, and stupid doctor. I forgot my danger and smiled feebly at myself. Now he was started thinking about the medicine. If the snake would bite him, what he should take. But though he was a doctor, but in his room there was no medicine. And he was realizing what a foolish doctor he was. And he was thinking in himself that, meaning he had started smiling to realize his stupidity. It seemed as if God appreciated that. The snake turned its head. He thought God was with him, and God liked his way, and the snake turned his head. It looked into the mirror and saw its reflection. Now the mirror was kept there, so the snake started looking his image into the mirror. I do not claim that it was the first snake that had ever looked into a mirror, but it was certain that the snake was looking into the mirror. He said that I could not say that that was the first snake in the whole world who had looked his image, his reflection into the mirror, but surely that snake was looking his reflection into the mirror. Was it admiring its own beauty? He couldn't understand what he was watching in the mirror. Was he appreciating his own beauty himself? What was he doing? To look into the mirror, the doctor was unable to realize it. Was it trying to make an important decision? He was speculating. He was thinking, what must be the mental status of snake at that time? Was he taking any important decision about growing a mustache or using my eyeshadow and mascara or wearing a vermilion, meaning red spot on its forehead? Now, the narrator has given a touch of humor here, meaning he said that the snake was thinking, maybe the snake was also thinking he should grow mustache, or he should make his eyes beautiful by applying mascara, or what the snake was thinking, that there should be a red point in between his eyebrows. So in a humor meaning comic, the words which create comedy. So the doctor's words are creating humor here, verbal humor, when he is describing the mental status of the snake. I hope you followed it. Thank you.